Hey guys, it's another really hot day today. It's supposed to be in the mid 90s next couple days, then it goes down into the high 80s, which will be welcome. I've been spending a little extra time with Ollie and Otis now that Daisy's not here, and they're getting a little more used to me, and they'll come up to me, let me pet them a little bit. Let's see if they do that right now. Good morning. I think Bella misses Daisy. She just kind of lays around, although it could have something to do with the heat too. It's really all I feel like doing, just laying around. Most of my Hawaii cuttings are looking pretty good. I did lose one type. Oh, this one's not looking good. They weren't getting much light, and I noticed them kind of looking faded. And so I'm running a grow light on them during the nighttime. Some of them look like they have new leaves kind of pushing a little bit, which is a good sign. My red ginger is, every single one of them is sprouted. Two of the tropical spider lilies have sprouted, so pretty good. And then my tea plants, they're starting to show color now. So these are the green ones. These are the bicolor, so you can see the kind of red. And these are the red ones. So even if I could just get one of each kind of these cuttings to work out, then I can take cuttings that are in a better situation. I'm not having to transport them on a plane. It's, new growth. It's not so hot. So that's all I'm asking for. Just one good one of each plant that works. I was saying recently that I think this is the worst tomato year I've ever had. And then I started remembering, I think I said the same thing last year. And the year before that wasn't much better. So that's actually 3 years, every year we've lived at this property, that I haven't had good tomatoes. And it's hit me recently why, and I feel like I'm the slowest learner. Although I really feel like I'm a fast learner, but it's taken me 3 seasons of growing tomatoes here to get what's going on and why I'm having issues. I came from a growing zone that was perfect for growing just about anything. We had relatively no frost to speak of. It was warm enough in February or March to put them out. And the hottest it got in the summer, like 85, was a hot day. It rarely ever reached 90, like ever. And so the tomatoes would start producing in April, May at the latest, and they would produce all the way until October, where they would slow down. They wouldn't go away, they would just slow down. So then I moved here, and I had to put them out later. And I know I'm like preaching to the choir on a lot of you. You have to put them out later, and then all of a sudden, they've produced a few tomatoes, and then the heat sets in, and all the flowers drop off, and that lasts, most of the summer into early fall sometimes here. September can be our hottest month. and then you get a few more tomatoes in October, November. So this year I tried putting them out a little early. We had that class filmed here, and I wanted to have some plants, growing, and so I wanted them to be, good size by May. So I think I put them out probably in April, and the cold weather just lasted here for a long time. Now I'm not talking about like icy cold. I'm not even talking about frost. It just wasn't up to par for the tomatoes, but I was pushing it. They grew very slowly. They were attacked with fungus, and ultimately it took over and I had to pull them out. So then the ones down here actually started performing like I was used to the last couple of years. Had some tomatoes at the bottom, then the hot weather hit, and the flowers started dropping off. And that happened while we were gone on vacation. Also, what happened when we were gone on vacation, I haven't had tomato hornworms in, I don't know, 7 years or something, ever since I've been planting basil with my tomatoes. And I know there's some of you who have planted basil with tomatoes and it hasn't worked for you. It's not 100%. It has been for me. But this year, right before we left on vacation, this basil was starting to put up buds, just like that one there. And I want this basil not only to ward off the tomato hornworms, but also to cook with. When you allow a basil plant to bloom, immediately the leaves get bitter. And so I didn't want that happening while we were gone. I knew it was going to because there were little buds all over them. So I literally just took the plants and twisted them all off. And they all looked like that. All of these looked like that. All I was thinking about at that moment is just not having these bloom while I was gone. And it worked. They didn't. And when I came back, there were nice, bushy little plants. The problem is, during that downtime where there were no plants here to ward off the tomato hornworm came and did its job. So I picked all the hornworms off, gave them to the chickens. But the heat is making all the leaves curl up. The flowers are still falling off. So it's finally time to address these issues now that I see what's happening, even though it was right in front of my face the whole time. So for the rest of this, so there's two things I want to do, maybe more than two. But what I can do now is get some shade cloth over these. And I think what I'm going to do is, for next year's crop, I'm going to build a shade structure over these tomato beds. Of course, I'll do a video when that happens. And then the second thing I'm going to do, which I can't do anything about right now, is in the early spring next year, to get them started sooner, I'm going to build some kind of a mini greenhouse around the plants to protect them. And they don't need a ton of protection. They don't even need to be protected from frost at that point in the year, but just to hold in just that much more heat where they're going to get off to a better start earlier. And so I'm going to do this in a way where you guys can follow along. And even if you're in colder climates where you're having this problem, but maybe you do have a frost issue, it's going to work for you too. But then I ran into another problem. This year, I tried some yellow squash that I pretty much knew was going to be a failure, but again, I wanted to get something in early, and so I used garden center transplants. And the yellow squash was that kind of hard skin, bumpy, yellow crookneck squash that I just don't like. And so I was pulling it out. Look at the bees all over this basil. Can you see how many there are? Anyway, I decided to pull all the yellow squash out and replant a different variety. And when I pulled out some from this bed here, I knew that we had a problem. This was a couple days ago, so these are kind of dry now, but these are the roots. And that is the telltale sign of root knot nematodes. So those are microscopic little worms that get into the soil and they feed in the root systems. And the way they set up camp, it makes the roots look like that. It's not going to hurt the plant for a little while. In fact, I believe I started getting it at the end of last year on some tomatoes that I pulled up. It was just barely, but they didn't look right. They didn't look that bad, but they didn't look right. So what happens is they mangle their root systems, and so above ground, the first thing you'll see is plants starting to wilt a little bit in the heat of the day. Now, if this happens on your squash, I just want to let you know, that doesn't mean you have root knot nematodes. If you have hot weather, and pumpkins, squash, whatever, they will naturally wilt in the day. They bring the water down into the stems rather than the leaves just to conserve water. And then when the sun goes down, they pop back up normal. These don't quite work that way. The root systems, because they're so mangled, they have a hard time pulling the water into the plant, and so they're going to look wilty. They'll start to get yellow. These plants didn't look bad yet, and so I was shocked when I pulled up and saw that mangled root system. So there's a few things I can do, only one of which I can do right now, and that is to solarize the beds, and that just means putting plastic over them and letting it stay on there in the heat of summer for 30 days or 30 days, maybe 6 weeks, and that the temperature should raise enough in that bed to kill most, if not all, of the nematodes. Now, unfortunately, you're going to kill a lot of the good stuff with it. Worms will move deeper. They shouldn't be affected, but there are beneficial nematodes and different microorganisms. I don't exactly know what the temperature is, but you're going to kill off some things. If it's killing the bad nematodes, it's killing other things too. I'm not going to do it just yet because I still have zucchini in that bed that looks pretty good. So I planted some new zucchini, or I'm going to plant some new zucchini to replace that in another bed. And then once that starts producing, then I'll take this out, solarize that bed and the bed that the tomatoes were in last year. So that'll take the rest of the summer. So won't be doing anything in there for the summer. I will probably plant alliums in both of those beds in the fall, because alliums aren't affected as much by root knot nematodes. And then I'm going to try two different things. Since I've got two beds with a problem, I always love experimenting and passing those things on to you. I am going to purchase some beneficial nematodes, a strain or variety or breed that will kill the bad nematodes. That's one. And then the second one is planting French marigolds, a whole cover crop of French marigolds in one of the beds. And when nematodes go into the root systems of marigolds, it kills them. So we will see which system works better. Interestingly enough, I would probably, if I had my choice between the two, even though I wrote the book on companion planting, and that's in there, I would probably rather use the beneficial nematodes, only because the marigolds, again, just like solarizing the soil, they can harm the beneficial nematodes that happen to be in the soil as well. So there's always a trade-off. You're looking for balance, always. But the garden's not all failures. Our sweet potato beds are going crazy. Now, the purple sweet potatoes were planted quite a bit after the regular sweet potatoes, and they've almost matched the growth. So a couple more months, and we should be harvesting some sweet potatoes. My pepper beds are doing awesome. I've got so many different kinds of peppers. Lots of shishitos here. We've got some bells there. They haven't changed color yet. I've got Fresno chilies. Lots of those. Got cayenne peppers, jalapeno peppers, more bell peppers. But what I'm most happy about, most excited about, leave it in the comments. What is it? If you've been following me a long time, you know what I've been waiting for 5 years at least, is my habanada peppers. And guess what? There they are. I have some habanada peppers. I'm so excited. I can't get too excited though, because you never know. Something may still happen. A few okra seeds that I planted in a video. They're growing. Should be maybe a couple more weeks till we have some okra. Eggplants are doing well. These two beds down here that look like they're failures, they're not. It's just my potato beds, and they're ready to harvest. I think we'll come back out here tonight at the end of this video, see what kind of potato harvest we get. All right, the sun just went behind the mountains, so I am headed down to harvest the potatoes. I actually uncovered a few earlier, and it looks pretty decent. I'm not sure if we're gonna get as many as we got last year, but we'll see. So far I've got this little pile, and this pile here, and that's from the front third of this bed. So I'm still having issues with drip tape. I'm wondering if next year I'm going to switch back to drip tube. I'm noticing dry pockets under here, and obviously in the moisture pockets, I'm getting more potatoes. So that's a problem. This bed was watered today. You can see right here I've got moist soil, and just right next to it, right here, it's almost completely dry. Frustrating. All right, let's keep going. All right, here's the final haul. It's pretty heavy. I'm gonna take it over and weigh it and see how much we have. Just under 59 pounds. I hear someone else's cow going crazy. It's not mine. 59 pounds. I would say that's pretty good for two 4x8 beds that have a watering issue. I'm happy with that. And I think, I could be wrong, it's been a few months, but I think that was just one bag of Costco potatoes that I planted. Now, it's almost potato planting time again, depending on where you live, but for most people, it's coming up. And some of you can plant several times a year like I can. So I'm gonna put links to my videos on potatoes, how to grow them. It's probably important to note, because I know I'm gonna get questions, why they were all on top of the ground, or most of them were on top of the ground. That's because I did the Ruth Stout method, or the lazy method, where you just prepare the soil. You don't dig trenches, you don't dig anything. You lay the potatoes on the top of the ground, you cover them with a good thick layer of straw, and let them go. Keep them watered, better than my system did. And I did an experiment on that. I'll put that video below. I did it the regular way and I did it the Ruth Stout way. It was very similar, the two amounts, the two weights of each of those methods. So that's the method I choose because I don't want to have to dig to plant them, and I don't want to have to dig a lot to dig them up. So all those links are down below. It's time to get the sheep fed and put to bed. Hi, Bella. How you doing? They're ready. Boys? Hi, Otis. Yeah, I know. I know, it's all about you. It's all about you. I love seeing horses just kind of walking by. Don't really want one myself, but... Good girl, Bella. Don't chase them. Okay, come on. You boys ready? Come on. Yes, you're gonna get fed next. Well, that was a full day. Well, not as full as I'd like. The heat just sends me inside for the middle of the day, so I get work done in the morning, and then once the sun goes behind those mountains, I come back out and go till nighttime. We're lucky to have those mountains because the sun actually sets on this side of the mountains about an hour before sunset. So we get extra light, and yet it's not blazing hot sun. So remember, all the information is down in the video description for our tomato challenge. May the best person win. See you next time.